Welcome to Triple Threat, the podcast with Jermel President, where it's good news and good vibes all the time, baby.
When we left Portugal to come play with you in your system, Jermel, it was the best thing for Shane because you pushed him to do other things outside his box.
You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Jermel President and on Twitter at President Jermel. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast as I'll be bringing you a new interview every month. Hey, what's up, guys? Coming up next, we got RJ Slawson. Great guy, great player, did a lot of damage in this area in high school sports, and went on to USC and transferred to JU and had a great career in the college arena. But in our conversation, we talked about just certain things that leads to being a great athlete, being a great student, being a great person. Those things that RJ and I know very well just from being student athletes. And one of the main things I got from RJ in our conversation is about hard work, being on time, and just doing what you got to do. Those conversations, those things, those skills can lead you to be a great person, a great citizen after basketball. So let's get into the interview. Again, man, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you coming on. I've been trying to get to you for a minute. You know what I mean? Because I know
man,
you're one of the best that ever done it from this area. So we love to, you know what I'm saying, get that feedback, get that word, let the other ones coming up know, you know, what to expect and you know how to do things. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, man. I know you wanted the ghost to come out of here too, man. Just coming out of Burton, going to college in Charleston.
For sure.
As a big time, just being a, hometown hero for real.
For sure. I appreciate that. All right, so we get started, man. And what we do with our we like to take it from the bottom to the top, man. So, tell people, your parks and rivals, because that's what all comes in there, right? We start on the park, playing the playground, rec department, and we kind of grow from that. Take us back to where, you started, what park, what rec department, and how that really kind of affected your start.
Yeah. So, starting off, man, when I was little,
Yeah.
the first rec part I went to was Faith Assembly. That's down there in Somerville. Then I made my way to Danny Jones. That's more in the Park Circle area.
Right.
And that's really, growing up, that's really where the most part, that's where I played at, with Danny Jones area. Then when I got to high school, it was more so a park called Crossroads down in Somerville.
Right.
A lot of people haven't heard about not Somerville, but Crossroads.
I never heard of Crossroads.
I think it was popping for maybe about 5 to 6 years. I know.
Okay.
Freshman year to my really to college, I know that was the spot that I used to go to.
Right.
I know, like after high school, after school, everybody just go to Crossroads. For
sure.
My big cousin Brandon, he'll come pick me up. He'll just take me to Crossroads. We'll be there all day on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
For sure.
Go to Crossroads. That was I go-to spot. And like you said, that's it's different when you on the on the court, like on the outside courts. It's just a different mentality that you got to have out there that kind of builds you up to a different basketball player. It's more physical. You're more mental. You gotta be tough out there. That's how you gain your name. That's how that's all you got really when you're out there. So you can't be no punk.
Right, and that's what I tell people all the time. That's where we start off from. So I like to get that, get that feedback on how it all started in the park growing up, because you ain't got no protection out there. It's only you, the ball, your friends, and if you lose, you probably don't get back on for another 2 or 3 games, or not even the whole day. So you really had to go hard during those times. But besides, because we won't get to your dads. Was your dad play the Citadel, or was?
That was my uncle.
Okay, your uncle played set. Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
but take us back to and growing up in the rec department and just playing, because so it's good to play outside and kind of compete, but where did you get your interest? Like, you know what I mean? Like that love for the game. You know what I mean?
And well, really, just growing up, my uncle, my dad, and really my whole family, they all played ball. My first, well, not my first, but when I was at Fifth Assembly, that's probably like my third year playing basketball. My mom was my coach.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it just was instilled in me to just play. I mean, the first time I played basketball was probably like 5 years old.
Right.
And to this day, actually, I was on the phone with one of my best friends yesterday. He played on my first basketball team. We still cool to this day, but I mean, that's kind of just it's good to still have friends that from back then to now. But yeah, really, I just came from a basketball family, man, and
right.
Like when I just came out the womb for real, I remember having the Fisher Price goal. I remember as I get older playing in the backyard. I remember just playing with my cousins. Everybody played. My cousin played at Fort Dorchester. My dad played at Somerville. They all grew up there. My mom played in Munts Corner at Berkeley.
Wow.
They all played college ball. So it just was something that I knew I was going to do.
For sure. So, starting to rec and then you moved to middle school, then moved to high school. Because I saw in your bio, you went to Stratford and then switched to Fort Dorchester, right? Mm-hmm. So let's touch base on that, briefly, because some of the kids that's listening or even players are listening, because we're going to talk about, because you transferred from USC to Jacksonville as well too, right? So talk about the reason you transferred from Stratford to Fort Dorchester.
Well, my parents had to move in with my grandparents because my grandfather got real sick.
Yeah, he's always coming to games in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Everybody know Big Fred.
Yeah.
But he got real sick, and so my dad and my mom had to go take care of him. So we moved from the Stratford area to Fort Dorchester, and so yeah, my freshman year I played at Stratford. Then I ended up having to sit out my sophomore year because of the transfer rules. Where at that time, really it was because the athletic director didn't want to let me play. Like he didn't release my transcripts. My sister, who was a senior, she didn't even get a chance to play her senior year because of that too. But that was really the main reason why we transferred, really just because my parents had to take care of my grandparents. So.
Got you. And looking at your bio, I see that junior year after you came back, you went on a spree your junior senior year at Fort Dorchester. But that year you set out, what was your mentality that sophomore year? Because people always talk about the junior senior year, but those things that happened in junior senior year was because of that sophomore season sitting out. Frame that for me.
So my sophomore year, I played AAU. So that really was, everybody knew me because of AAU, well, from Stratford for one thing, but AAU kind of, AAU different from high school. So, I mean, the competition a little different. So I used to play AAU, but everybody that I played AAU with was from Fort. So it'd be like Corey, Rez, Big Tim, Galen, all of them I was from Fort. So I kind of already had that chemistry with them before I moved over there.
Right.
But I think if we would have played my sophomore year, I think we would have won state. Just because I started lineup. Everybody was over 6 foot and everybody could ball. I know. I don't even know if you remember, but Mike Matthews.
I remember that line pretty good over there. Yeah.
Yeah. We had Chris Dozier. We had Boozy. We had Big Tim that was there. Galen, Corey, Rez, like everybody that I already named. So, but practices used to be crazy because I used to play on the second string because I wasn't gonna play. Right. I had to sit out that year. So I think that honestly helped us out a lot because just competing every day. Iron sharpen iron for real. So really, I think that's what helped us out. And to this day, man, I tell everybody, if I would have played my sophomore year, I think that was one of our biggest chances to win state that year, honestly. Right. But then the year after that, I just had that mentality that I had to just go ahead and show people what I had because I missed the whole year of high school ball. Right. So the people at Fort knew I can ball. The people at Stratford, I was decent at Stratford, played varsity and everything. But that sophomore year, I kind of just, with my junior year, that's kind of when I just kind of had that mentality, like, man, it's payback for everybody. Like, I'm trying to go at everybody's head. I remember the game coming back to Stratford, that's actually was my worst game. But I was just so hyped, and I'm like, man, I'm about to kill
it. Always like that. It's always like that.
It was my worst game. It was my worst scoring game, I should say.
For sure.
Because, I mean, everything else, I mean, defense-wise, I was there. It just, I just couldn't make any shots that game.
Too hype, too much.
Yeah,
too much
that's
energy.
what it was, man. I had so much adrenaline. But honestly, man, it's just that junior year, I just wanted to show everybody, man, this is what y'all was missing. And just kind of just get my name more out there.
Right. And you did your thing your junior year. I mean, junior and sophomore year. Talk about your recruiting wars, right? Because, in talking to people like, my story, everybody's story, players pick colleges based on comfortability, someone they know, or, just being close to home per se. And I see you had a couple of different offers: Clemson, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech. Why USC?
Man, honestly, me and Bruce Ellington, we kind of just had to sit down one day. He was we was gonna go to the same school regardless. So if it was Clemson, Georgia Tech, Georgia, whatever it was, we was gonna end up going to the same school.
Right.
And then it just one day we were just sitting down, man, like, man, what we gonna do? And it was honestly, we was thinking about going to Southern Cal, USC Southern Cal, honestly. I think it was after a game at Peach State. It's either Peach Jam or Peach State. The coach from Southern Cal was out there talking to us. Well, he wasn't really talking to us, but that was the first one. I just remember seeing him.
Right.
Reached out to us the next day or whenever the recruiting time was, reached out to us, spoke with him. And I was kind of leaning to going over there. A lot of people don't even know that, but I was actually kind of leaning to going over to the Pac-12. That West Coast different playing style. It's kind of actually more of my playing style, honestly.
Exactly.
But then me and Bruce decided that we wanted to stay more close to home, so we just decided to go to the real USC and go to South Carolina. So.
And that segue into my other topic, RJ, because for the listeners out there, do you think that was the right decision for you to make? Not the school, but to pair up with your friend going to a college? Because, and before you answer that, and that's what message I'm trying to get to the audience, that when they're picking a school, they got to be focused on, first of all, the coaching contract at that school. They've been there for a long time with a losing record. They're probably not going to be there through the 10 year. In this timeout message, we got Jamie Jenkins.
And so, you know what? You'll find this. You'll laugh at this. Just, I know I'm a lot like you in that we're basketball heads, man. Like,
for sure.
Even though I'm removed from my playing days, I'm a basketball guy. For sure. And so when I was playing, imagine how much of a basketball head. Like, you're reading, trying to figure out who's who. I'm in this new city. I don't know anything. I don't know high school players. I don't know other players. And I remember being in ROTC, Air Force ROTC one day. And in fact, there was an update on Jermel President in the Post and Courier about your recruitment. I think Wyoming. Did you commit to Wyoming?
Wyoming and Clemson.
I remember the commitment to Wyoming. I read the commitment to Wyoming. And then I think I saw something happen. And then you ended up at the College of Charleston. Like, all of this stuff, man, just me trying to formulate what's the pecking order? Who? Who am I going to have to play against? Who's from this city that I need to know? All of those things, man.
Now let's get back to the interview. If they're there with a winning record and they just got there, probably got a good chance to be there through your tenure.
Right.
The playing style, all those things got to make a choice. And I think as athletes, especially, I'm looking at your numbers, top. What we got here? You was Gatorade Player of the Year, 4A Player of the Year, Region Player of the Year, averaged 22, 12, and 4. South Carolina Basketball Association preseason, Elite 5, All-State. I mean, all these things. Why do you think you made not the correct decision going to USC?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just to kind of piggyback on what I was talking about earlier with the Southern Cal, one of the reasons that stirred me away from Southern Cal was they were just on like probation or something like that. Okay. So that was kind of like, I think they were still on probation from the Reggie Bush eras and all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they couldn't go to the tournament. There was something going on to where I was like, yeah, this probably not going to be a good look over there. Then playing style is definitely a decision factor that people should take in account on, because Pac-12, that's really, like I said, that's more my playing style. Sure. Like the West Coast.
Up and down a little bit more.
Right. But South Carolina at that time was kind of on that playing style too with Coach Horn. And the players that he was recruiting was more so those types. So it was supposed to be a run and gun. Let's go. Fast pace. And that's kind of stuff that you got to keep in mind. You got to know your playing style. If you're a traditional big, SEC actually might be okay for you, because it's kind of like one of those things that you got to kind of adapt to. But if you're one of those stretch, you got to look at different areas where you can fit in. I know I keep on talking about the West Coast, but that's because that's what comes to my mind first, because I know that's the type of playing style that they play.
For sure.
So all of that has to play a factor. As far as friends go, I don't think I made a decision to follow Bruce. Like, we kind of made that decision on our own to kind of do that, because there was a lot of places that, like, Chris was still at Texas A&M. They were trying to get me to go over there. I could have went there. My boy Milton, he was at Clemson. I could have went to Clemson.
Milton.
Yeah. Me and KJ real close. We could have both went to Wichita State at the time where he was at, and Wichita State was big time. They was I think they went to the Final Fours during that span. Right. So there was a couple of different places that I could have gone with my friends, but it's just a bunch of different things you got to take in account when you're making that decision.
Right. And that's the not the main reason, but that's kind of the reason why we had this podcast, because to hear the stories like this, you know what I mean? Because if another kid is thinking about a school and he has a good friend that's playing football or basketball, and he's like, yo, where we want to go? You know, that's something to be thinking about. Do we want to go this together? It might work out for one person, not the other, or even both, but you have to take in consideration for your best interest at heart. You know what I'm saying? What's best for the individual, yourself. And those things you got to drive home, because USC might have had that style of play, but if something happened within your sophomore season that you didn't like, and you had to change. And to avoid those things from happening, not saying you can avoid them, but the best your best chances is to put yourself in a situation where all those things line up with the coaches, the playing style, the comfortability, and then you have a better opportunity of having a better full career for your career. When you make those decisions. But moving forward, you had a great 4-year career. Let's move into talking about more of the not recruitment, but signing the life after basketball, because everybody want to play at the next level. Your senior year at JU, frame that for me. What happened in that senior year as far as you moving forward and getting to the next level?
So my senior year, so I transferred my senior year to go to JU. The main reason that I did that was, when I went to Carolina, I was supposed to be playing a certain way. I was told all of these things, which was definitely supposed to happen, and to certain spots did, but it was different factors that changed that. Sure. For example, some players got hurt. Had to play out of position a lot. That at that time, man, I was probably like 205 playing the center. When really I came in there as a 4-3. But I mean, I had to just play. I had to adapt and play what my team needed at that time.
For sure.
And then when Frank came in, I love Frank, man. I know everybody got a kind of different opinion about him. But me and Frank had no bad blood. Even when I was transferring, he looked out for me. Even after I transferred, he'd tell me, "Hey man, you come back to campus, come play, come hoop with the guys, all of that." But the reason I transferred then, it was just like, man, it was my senior year. I felt like I was starting back over. Every year I felt like we had to start back over because sophomore year, we're coming in. Let me back up. My freshman year was 6 freshmen. 6 freshmen, four sophomores, 1 junior, and 2 seniors on the team. So we was young. Sophomore year, that same crew came back except for the seniors, obviously. But then something happened inside, just like personal stuff, not with me, but just with the team, where people start bumping heads and decisions had to be made. They ended up firing the coach. A lot of people left. But then my junior year, that's when Frank came. So it's basically we felt like I have to start back over my junior year because it's just new people, new pieces, new everything coming in, new playing style, all of that. So then senior year, I was thinking to myself, man, this is my last hurrah. I need to go somewhere. Even if it's a smaller school, be a bigger fish in a small pond, that's fine. I just need to go somewhere to, just kind of just start something new.
For sure.
So a good friend of mine, Coach Will, he's from Moss Corner actually. So he's good friends with my mom. We were just talking. He was assistant coach there. So that was the main reason I kind of went there. And then I looked at the lineup, looked at the players. I started 5. Was looking back at it, we could have made we messed up. Could have made some noise, but it was some internal issues there too, man. Sure. That's one thing that I've learned over my years in basketball, that you only as strong as your weakest link, man. Sure. And if y'all aren't on the same page, if y'all not trying to go to the trenches together, you could have 5 LeBron James, but if y'all not have each other's back, then it's a different story. Right. It's a different story. But yeah, that's how my senior year went. That's the reason that I transferred there, thinking, okay, I'm starting a new beginning. Let's see how things go. Right. But then some things happened where it was the same situation where people weren't seeing eye to eye. But one thing I would say, it taught me a lot because everybody that was there they rocked with me, not just because I went to South Carolina. Right. But it's just kind of like, they just the type of person I was, man. They rocked with me heavy, so they'll tell me a bunch of stuff. So I knew what was going on. Right. But then I was like that glue, but it's just a lot. For sure. It's just a lot going on. So it just didn't plan out the way that it did. But it taught me a lot, because even going to the next level when I played professional, a lot of my professional team, I think my best professional team was probably in Germany, but we didn't have the most talent. It just because I had everybody was on. You had the most
cohesiveness though.
Yes, like I had people that just wanted to go to war. Like they had each other. They be mad off the court, but when we between the lines, all of that's through the window. Like we just trying to win this game. We got each other's back. I knew if I'm coming off the court, I know the person that's coming in behind me. They gonna maintain whatever's going on until I get back on. They know their job. They knew their role. So
for sure,
that's one thing that I would say that just a different experiences through college kind of had me prepared for and knew what to say during those moments as a pro to get people on the same page.
And again, that's what life's all about. You know what I'm saying? You go through those different turbulence, go through different life experience so you can be prepared for the show. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what happened. I forgot to give you a big up on having that freshman academic award too. That's huge, coming as a freshman student athlete. We don't usually see that. So I just want to give the audience the big up for that. But talk about the next level going pro, because you need an agent, you need some type of representation. A lot of players can really play, but they don't have the type of representation, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of players can't play, but they got good representation and get on. You've seen that before too. Mm-hmm. So talk about your situation. How did your representation come along, and how was that beneficial in helping you move into your professional career?
So my first agent, Jamie Knox, big time agent. He just wrote me. He's from the Georgia area, Atlanta. So he just knew everybody from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. I think he went to Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of was just eyeing people that's in the area. He knew me at South Carolina, knew me at Jacksonville. And then a lot of people don't know. So after Jacksonville, I had to get surgery on my foot. So that kind of shied a lot of agents and a lot of people overseas from recruiting me at that time. Then I was speaking with Jamie. I moved from Jacksonville to Atlanta. I was in Atlanta for like, I think 4 months, just rehabbing my foot and then training to go to the next level. So really Jamie kind of just put me in the right position, to the right position kind of, but he still said, bro, you got to prove yourself now.
Sure.
Like everybody know you coming off this injury. So you need to, wherever you go, you just got to prove yourself. But just like after that, really after my first year overseas, that's when more so a lot of agents started coming out of the woodworks, because then they kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, he got it. He can still play. He can play. Like even after the injuries, he still got it. So then that's when DMs started getting packed. Hey man, such and such from such and such sports, whatever. And it's almost it felt like
being recruited all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Like college again, being recruited again. But I'm one of those guys that's gonna stick with who I started with. So I started. I kept Jamie, and then really Jamie was the best, the best agent that out of the people that was coming at me personally to me.
For sure.
When I was in Atlanta, man, he set me up with the right people.
Right.
He had me at Georgia Tech getting the treatment that I needed. Our runs was crazy. We used to run with the Atlanta Hawks, and whoever was the pros that live in the city, we all ran at the same spot at the Skills Factory. So I mean, he prepared me for what I needed to do to go to the next level. So that was big time. Me and Jamie still talk to this day, and that was kind of one of the main reasons I stuck with him. So
that's what's up.
What does it take to be a champion? Hard work, passion, experience. Nah, it takes winning. So if you're injured, go with the guy with the winning record.
I'm attorney Mike Costello, and I will never back down.
The most important message to get across to student athletes suffering from mental health issues is that you're not alone. Many student athletes deal with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and other mental health struggles. If this is the case, speak to someone like a counselor, a parent, a trusted adult, or your fellow teammate. Adults who are supporting a student athlete should be aware of the signs. A student athlete who is experiencing mental health difficulties might have constant fatigue, loss of appetite, mood swings, apathy, or even declining grades and/or social isolation. A student athlete's mental health can be severely affected by an injury. An athlete's entire life becomes about their sport. And when they lose the ability to play, it can take a huge toll mentally. As we continue to reduce the stigma around mental health, hopefully more middle and high school level student athletes will feel confident discussing their health, whether it be mental or physical. The Triple Threat podcast will be adding a psychology aspect in season 2. We will be doing our part to help destigmatize mental health when it comes to student athletes. So subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform so you never miss an episode. Now let's get back to the interview. And that's important. The young fella need to know that. A lot of people hard to get an agent, and sometimes, they don't know that your agent works for you. So yeah, you can hire and fire whenever you want to, but loyalty is the best policy when it comes to having that relationship with your agents. You know what I'm saying? And
definitely,
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of kids don't know that being loyal, can get you a long way when you're in this business, because that's just how it is. But you got to produce too, but being loyal to people that brought you in, because if you burn those bridges and you screw somebody over, 9 times out of 10 it's gonna happen to you. You're gonna see that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then nowadays, honestly, with the agencies, it's like you said, they screw a lot of people over, man. They'll say they do this, that, and the third, but they're not even certified to do this. They don't even have the right connections to do this, but they just, gassing you up on a dream.
Right.
Especially for people who really don't know and just trying to, hey man, I just need the opportunity. So they come up with fake pages and send you a bunch of different stuff. So you got to do your due diligence on these people as well before you just jump in.
Wow.
Just because they show you an opportunity don't mean that they're gonna present that opportunity is real. So you still gotta do your work and due diligence on whoever's recruiting.
That's good stuff. And you briefly talked about the transition from high school to college. Talk about the playing competitiveness from high school to college and then college to pro. Like, what are some things that you could have did better that you didn't do as high school and college that could have prepared you better than the pro life? Talk about that.
Honestly, man, high school don't prepare you for college, man. As far as like them workouts, and it's just a different mentality, a different dedication. Like when you from high school, you playing for fun. In college, this really is a job. Like,
right.
And it wasn't until really afterwards when I was thinking about what I was gonna do after ball. Like, I understand why coaches are the way that they are, because they putting their livelihood on an 18-year-old who just want to play basketball because they want to play basketball. Nah, we need you to be disciplined. We need you to, the coaches shouldn't have to be down your back every day about grades, about they don't have, you got to do the little things beyond basketball to where they don't have to worry about you. And that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Like, right. When it comes to grades or just being a good person, not getting into trouble, just going to class on time, grades was a big part, because you got to think about it. If you're not eligible to play, that's another,
for sure.
That's another problem right there. So right. Just but to get back to what you were saying as far as playing style and everything, college was a whole lot faster, more physical for sure. But really, I say once January hits, really December, January hits, after them first preseason games and you get your first conference games under your belt, you get a little taste on how things are really going to be. Mm-hmm. So then you get more comfortable. You get more confidence. And then once you get that, really your sophomore season, you kind of, you got a notch on your belt already, because you already know the experience. But going from college to pros, I honestly was easier for me.
That's the first time I heard that.
The reason I say that though is because my knowledge of the game was so much, it was higher. So that's the reason it came easier for me, because I kind of I watch it play. Like, I used to do a bunch of film sessions, and I watch it play. Once I know the plays and know the different options, basketball is a simple sport, man. Once you stop something and adjust, then it's really like, okay, what can this guy do? Like, once you know everything that they're going to do, okay, what's the counters? Now he got to really show his skill set on how he can really play. Right. So when I say it came easier, it's really more so because the game it became slower for me. It was a faster pace. Exactly, preparation for sure. It was a faster pace, but I seen stuff before it happened, so it was slower on my mind. So that's where I said it was a little bit easier for me.
That's interesting. I never heard it, but I like the way you put that. I want to know right now in your afterlife of basketball, how has basketball been effective for you? Like those transferable skills. I know we got to be places on time. We got to communicate with our teammates. You know, we got to be hard workers. Like all those things are life skills. Like how did basketball prepare you to be a great person in the afterlife of basketball?
Everything you just said, man. Like when doing that, like going to college, when they was on my behind every day, it made it a whole lot easier to do that afterwards. Like now, it's nothing to wake up early in the morning to go do something. Like you just got to go do it. But communication skills, just like that energy that you bring to somebody, it's different. It's different when you on the court and you got somebody just, you know, like just not in it. So you like you got to bring different. I got to lift somebody up. That's being a leader.
I like
that's
that.
being a leader.
I like that. I like that.
Cause I've been in even to this day, like just working. I work. Right now I work with Prudential. So I do have a team. In a sense, I have a team, and we got to hold each other accountable. So when somebody ain't on this stuff, just out of it right now, you kind of just got to know what to say to kind of get them on the right path.
You can't yell at them saying you can't yell at them saying because they throw a bad pass, or yell at them because they didn't respond to the email.
Some people you can talk to like that, and then some people you gotta learn how to get that message across. Definitely, because I had and you gotta think about it, I played with Frank. Frank know one way. So he gonna scream, yell, I can take that. But there's some people that I remember on the team that once you yell at them, they'll shell up, and then now they can't be themselves on the court.
Right.
So that's the same thing in real life. You got to learn the way that person's gonna comprehend what you're saying. So there's some people that's how you get them up. You yell, but then there's some people you kind of be like lay it down serious, but in a different way so they can understand it.
For sure. And I have some great coaches coming up from high school, college, pro. And I learned something from each one of those coaches. If I ask you, just pick one coach, you don't got to name a coach, but just pick one coach and one thing that you learned from that coach, and how do you apply that to your everyday life right now? What would that be?
Man, well, I could say Coach Mike Boynton. He's coaching at Oklahoma State right now. He was one of my assistant coaches my sophomore and freshman year. And it's as cliche as it sounds, but man, just come in here, do your job. As simple as that sounds, it speaks volumes because one, if you do your job, stuff got to get done regardless. So you being mad, pounding about it. In the real life, don't nobody care about that. Exactly. Like the day still gonna go on, so you got to do it regardless. So right. And Coach Mike, he's smoothest coach you're gonna know. Like he doesn't raise his voice too much. He'll come in there, hey man, just do your job. Do your job. You see coaching you behind right now, right? All right, just go do your job, and he'll leave you alone. It's simple. It's cliche, but it's real. It's real though.
What's up?
Even to this day, like when I'm working, if I do my job, I just go out here and do what I need to do, things gonna get done.
For sure.
So
we ride on the parks, you know, but back in the day, you see you was at Crossroads, we was at downtown, the Hamp and the Hess, crowded all day, every day. But now you go, you don't see kids on the park. You know what I mean? The most playing video games. How do you think social media plays a big role in kids' performance per se? Because back then, I don't think we had so much of social media. We can go read those things and sit on it all day. But right now, kids, they posting stuff and they're reading other people's performance. And I think that leads into some of their performance and some type of their self-esteem. What's your take on that?
I think it can be a gift and a curse, honestly. It depends on how you take it. Because really, I think, man, if I had social media in my day and I seen all these other different workouts, I'll use that. Like, oh man, this man jumping like this now? Or what did he do? Oh, his handles done got this. Let me see what he's been doing. So when you use it in that way, it could be a gift. But then, like you said, like some people just sit down and not really, they just looking at it. They're not really comprehending and inserting themselves and doing what the workouts, or they just on social media just to be on social media. I know even at the 2020 league, I spoke with a couple of kids, and I was just telling them, man, like honestly, y'all being recruited right now. When y'all on social media, y'all can't be talking crazy, can't be bullying people, you can't be posting crazy stuff. Even when you're doing your highlight tapes, coaches don't want to hear cussing all in your highlight tapes. Like,
for sure,
trying to teach them, like, hey, all of that's gonna follow with you. So even like you see it in the pros now, like people would tweet something and
it's all over.
It's all on social media. It's on ESPN and so everybody knows what you're saying. So
for sure,
you got to be smart when you're doing things like that. So it kind of just like I said, it could be a gift and a curse depending on how you take it.
And that segues into my next question. We're talking about mental health. You know, back in the days, you know, like you said, coaches, the Frank Martins and the high school coaches, they yell and, you know, yell and say certain things. And, you know, we had to kind of figure it out and kind of just go along with it because we hear the same things on the park, right? But right now, it ain't no park. And now these kids got situations where, you know, do you think mental health is a situation where kids just not tough enough? Or do you think social media has kind of softened them up a little bit so they don't get in that competitive grind that we have in the park? What do you think about that?
Okay. Now I'm glad you said that because like the way that you put it just then, as far as kind of the softness of everything, and it's universal. It's not even just sports. It's like with everything in life right now. And so I think social media does play a big part of that. Just I don't want to say being a man, but it's kind of just building the toughness. Like I know it's hard to say that without like, even now I'm trying to be politically correct.
Of course, to
offend somebody.
Of course.
But you just kind of, I do think social media has softened a lot of people when it comes to that. Because my dad used to be on my behind, so that was easy when I went to Darren Horn. Darren Horn was on my behind. That was easy when I went to Frank. So, but I mean, some people might not have that upbringing. Even like the parks. Like the parks make or break some people. There's some people who go there that first day, they're not gonna come back the next day. So yeah, man, I do think it's a softer just a softer crowd now, just based on just because of all these different factors. And there's no parks, like you said. There's no parks out there like that. I was just thinking that when we was talking about parks earlier, I was like, man, I don't know if it's just because I haven't been out there seeing it, or it really is just no parks.
Right.
Mall Park's still downtown, and I see it used to be packed
all the time.
Now
ain't
it's
nobody
like
out there.
every now and then. Now and then it might be packed, but it used to be packed like that all the time.
Right. RJ, the other issue that's really pending is the players getting paid now. You know, back in the days, I don't think that was an issue when we was coming up where we can get paid for our likeness. And I really do think that athletes do deserve something. My take is, even if every school got different budgets, which I understand, even if it's $10,000 per student athlete, I think it should be an incentive where you can get 5 as a freshman, and then you get 5 as a senior if you graduate, or whatever the number is. And I think that should be, because you can't just give kids money and then they don't graduate and they're back at the same spot when they finish graduating. And my other thing is, before I let you answer, we work 4 years of high school because we work and playing high school ball. Then we work 4 years, then we play 4 years of college ball, and we can't work. I'm sorry, we don't work in high school, so we playing high school ball. Then we don't work in college, could be playing college ball. 8 to 10 years out of the job market, no job experience. So we don't get a pro contract, we're pretty much screwed. So right now, yes, I think the money that the kids should be getting should be compensated properly and then invested. What's your take on that now that they're getting paid?
I'm all for it, honestly. I like the fact that student athletes are getting paid. But I do think there should be some rules and regulations to it. Really, when it comes down to like even grades, because I mean it is a student athlete first.
Exactly.
Like you said, like they got incentives from freshman year to senior year. I didn't think about it that way, but that was a great way to put it. But I mean, think about it, because when you're agent as a senior leaving college, we're in debt because our agent is putting us up in a hotel, paying our bills, not paying our bills, but we're working, but they give us, money. We got to pay back on their contract. Mm-hmm. But what if you get that money? What if you got a stipend you get out of college that you can roll over the next 2-3 years until you figure it out? That'll be a huge deal. Right. And then you got to think about how much money these people that you bringing into this university anyway. Like that little piece of money that they're gonna give you ain't breaking. That's nothing. Like that's not hurting nobody.
For sure.
That's not hurting. That's not hurting anybody. So I'm glad you put it that way too, because I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, have a little stipend or whatever for afterwards.
Right.
So they can figure it out, and then they can find their way.
For sure.
Even honestly, I'm glad you brought that up though, because even after college, because you said people you don't get a chance to work from high school to college, and if you don't get a pro, even when you're a pro, if you're not with the right agency, you still kind of behind the 8 ball, because you don't have any retirement, you don't have any, you don't even know, you don't know about all the different benefits that you will have with a job, and you're losing out on a lot of those because you're with a bad agency who that doesn't have a financial advisor, doesn't have you investing, doesn't have you saving for this. So all that ties in.
For sure. And it's a huge thing, but I'm glad that things are getting better, and we're trying to, make it better overall for student athletes. But it takes these type of conversations in order to make those things work, because otherwise someone that doesn't play ball, they don't really know what we actually go through with those 8 to 12 years of trying to really figure it out. So these conversations really help the audience, help the kids, figure it out, and trying to look 10 years from now so they can kind of see what they need to do or what not to do.
He made a name for himself as a star for the College of Charleston basketball teams in the mid to late 90s. And now Jermel President is doing what he can to make sure that the Charleston area kids have a chance to succeed on the court and in life.
So I want to, give some of that back to the community as well. After college and after playing professionally, I started the Day Foundation just to be that wealth of knowledge to the kids in the community and parents as well.
College of Charleston Hall of Famer Jermel President said he saw a need for this while he was in school. So he founded the nonprofit Day Foundation. And its philosophy for success is based on what he calls his oatmeal recipe.
Let's go and finish together.
Basically teaches the game of basketball, focusing on skills development, nutrition, and education. Not only SAT, ACT type stuff, but education for parents in how to navigate through the different levels of athletics.
In closing, RJ, we created something called the oatmeal recipe. And the oatmeal recipe is skill development, education, and nutrition. And those 3 ingredients can go with any type of sport, and go in corporate America, what have you. So I want to ask you, how important are those 3 ingredients to you? I'll start with skill development. And when I talk about skill development, I'm talking about the sport as well, but we'll also ask you what are the type of skills you learn from playing basketball, right? So talk about those skill development just as a whole, how important they are, that ingredient is to you.
Definitely. So skill, and like you said, skill development is not just with sports. Like skill development is with everything. That's the leadership. That's the depth, dedication. That's the discipline. All of that is part of skill development, and it gives you once you I won't even say master, but once you get in learning these skills, it gives you the confidence to do a lot of other things. And then it's a recipe. So once and it's a recipe to everything. Like honestly, like you just said, you can do the same thing for basketball, what you would do in the corporate America. You just gotta get the right ingredients, and once you know the formula, then you can place it to life. And that's how you kind of just get successful at things.
Right. How about education? And yeah, education when it comes to reading and writing, but it's a lot of education in sports as well. When someone's being recruited, I tell players all the time, if it's 17 fouls, you shooting a one-on-one, why are you shooting 3-pointers? You know what I mean? Like drive to the basket, get to the line. Those are the type of education that goes into towards the sport. How important is education to you, and how do you apply it to your everyday life?
I mean, education is important, but you got to consume the right things. You can learn, you can read something, but if you consume it the wrong way, or whatever you reading and consuming isn't correct, and you're applying it, then it can set you back. So it's not. You need to be on your P's and Q's about what you're learning. Even when it comes to school, like we learn a lot of the simple things, but you don't really learn the life things. You don't learn about the same things I was just talking about with investing, 401k. You don't know about paying bills. You don't learn about debt. You don't learn about interest rates, all of this extra stuff that really applies in your real life. So I mean, I think it's more about what you're learning and comprehending.
I like that. And the last one is nutrition. And so I got to put a slash with sleep with that, because everybody I talk to say, yeah, nutrition is important, but sleep is just as important. But I want to say one thing about nutrition. I go to these travel ball tournaments, AAU tournaments, and kids are eating Skittles and McDonald's and fast food before games, after games. And, I'm saying to myself, the organization, whoever are the coaches, we should know better, because we can't expect the kids to perform at a high level when sugar, first of all, slows your memory down, slows your processing down. So what's your take on nutrition, and how do you apply it to your everyday life?
And nutrition, I'm glad you said that, man. Nutrition actually changed my career. Just learning, because I remember in college, one day just wanted me to gain weight. So I used to eat any and everything, just gain weight. So I used to just eat.
Right.
But when I became pro, when my weight was already there, when I changed my nutrition, that kind of helped my endurance. That helped me gain. That actually helped me gain more muscle. That helped me gain a bunch of different other assets that I didn't even know. Like it just even like you just said, like brain capacity, like just not being lackadaisical, not being sleepy. I have a whole lot more energy. And that applies to not just sports, but just everyday life. Like you getting the proper rest, eating the proper foods, consuming the proper things that need the proper nutrients for you to succeed in level. Like it's different levels. Like you can eat McDonald's or whatnot, that's gonna get you what you need to get by. But if you're trying to get better, you need to eat the proper foods.
Exactly.
And in AAU, like you said, man, after in between games, they'll go to Wendy's or something. But I mean, it's no problem just getting some fruit.
Right.
There's no problem getting some oranges, something to be laid around for you. But I think they do need to change that structure a little bit with AAU. As far as the games, like kind of spread that out so people had the opportunity to kind of do that. Prepared, like what you're getting yourself into, so prepared. Have somebody there prepared for you.
Right.
So you good. So that means that's something you ain't gotta worry about. Like even if it's like your coaches or I don't know, a mom, coach moms, team mom or whatever, somebody have the proper nutrition for these players. But we need people like us kind of telling these people this, because some people, they just don't know.
They just don't know.
Some coaches, they just coaching, they just love kids, but they don't really know the right structure. They don't know the right ingredients. So
for sure. And one more last thing before I let you go, because you made a statement on it, a comment on it about the AAU, the games and all that stuff. I can't blame the AAU. I blame these organizations and these coaches for not being upfront with these parents. That's why you got parents fighting in the stands and yelling, because they think if they don't, some of these kids are aren't even playing in the AAU tournament. They're playing in the USBA or a YBOA or some type of other tournament, right? Because they don't, first of all, a college coach is not going to be at a seventh grader YBOA game. They got certain times they can be out. So having all these games is just I call it a tournication. It's a vacation in the tournament because everybody else is making money. The city's making money through restaurants. The arena's making money through rental. Referees are making money through calling games. But the kids that lost by 20 and had 2.3 point points in the whole tournament. And then they spent $3,000 to $5,000 for the whole summer. It's crazy.
Right.
And that is my take on that. Is my take on that. It's so frustrating. So I'm glad you comment on that because, I just wanted to get that out. Like it has to change. Our kids is being duped because they're just not being led properly when they're trying to so-called get themselves known.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely have to go. And luckily my dad was the one that kind of steered me in the right way and knew, hey, right, I can't go to no YBOA tournament if I'm trying to get recruited. I need to go to these AU tournaments where there's sanctions. So college coaches will be there. Even when it came to clearinghouse, a lot of these AU coaches or even parents, they don't know that you need to have the clearinghouse.
Kids ain't even eligible.
Go to college.
Kids ain't even eligible.
Great.
It's crazy.
So, and that's one thing I give my hat off to 2020 league with Trey and Trav and everybody on the board. That's something that we definitely preach about and let them know, hey, you need to be on your grades. You need to go through the clearinghouse. We let the parents know this is how this is what they need to do to be seen. They need to go to these sanctified tournaments. They need to go through. They need to have this grade point average, and they need to go through the clearinghouse. So for
sure. And big ups to Trav and Trey and all that for doing that. I think that's a great concept. It's going to grow tremendously. And anything I can do to help you guys, continue to let me know. I think it's a great idea. Good job, you guys putting that together, man.
Yes, I appreciate you.
For sure. Well, that's it. That's all I got for you today, big guy. Ooh. I appreciate you coming on, and any last thing you want to say to any upcoming student athletes out there that looking to get to the next level? Anything you want to say to them before you go?
Really just like you what we talked about earlier with the ingredients, kind of just take what we said. We experienced this stuff, man. So it's not like we trying to we want to see y'all win. We want to see everybody succeed. So we just trying to, give y'all the gems on the stuff that we went through, the mistakes that we made, or the lessons that we learned. And obviously y'all gonna have y'all different experiences, but learning from my experiences could probably navigate you through some of your experiences that you experience. So
for sure. All right, big man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me though, man.
Yes, sir.
This is long overdue, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I already know, man. I already know. So there it goes, guys. Another one in the books. I want to thank RJ for coming on and giving us his wealth of knowledge of being a student athlete, being a local talent, and being in the local parks. He made his way and made a name for himself through the sport. So we like to talk to athletes that did a lot of damage, good damage in their careers here locally. We'll be right back. Don't forget to subscribe to the Triple Threat Podcast on your favorite listening platform. We are live on Apple, Google, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. That's Triple Threat spelled 3 RIPLE 3 HREAT. Triple Threat Podcast. We'll be right back.
What Jermel is doing with the Day Foundation and the approach he's taking to help develop young athletes, first of all, getting them prepared from the academic standpoint, which, as you know as well as I do, Bobby, that's the most important element, to try to get them to eat healthy, to be able to train properly, to get the proper education, and then hopefully for those who are talented enough to have a chance to move on to perhaps even get a free education by going off to college. But I love what Jermel is doing. It's a wonderful program. Hopefully more people in the community will get behind it, and some of the businesses involved as well to help sponsor this program, because these are the kind of things that every community needs, looking out for the best interests of the youth. The future of this country is in our youth, and everything that we can do to help prepare them better for that is absolutely wonderful. And I can't express adequately enough my admiration and respect for what Jermel is doing, and hopefully he'll get a lot of help from a lot of people.
You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Jermel President, and on Twitter at President Jermel. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast, as I'll be bringing you a new interview every month.